Hello, ladies and gentlemen, how we're doing today. My name is JT, and welcome back to another episode of the Gio and JT Podcast. Today, we are talking about the sword and the stone.
JT, before we do that, though, there is something I need to say.
What?
Cue that theme music!
Gio JT Podcast under 30 minutes. Welcome back to another episode of Gio JT Podcast under 30 minutes. I haven't said that a lot in the episode. It's in the theme song, but I haven't said it really in the episode. But yeah, so today we're talking about The Sword and the Stone. A kind of mixed film. Gio, we just talked about a little bit about it. Gio doesn't like it. I have mixed feelings on it. It's boring. Yeah, we'll get to that. But check out last episode if you want to hear our big discussion on xerography, because we started talking about that and we're going to continue talking about that today. So yeah, let me open up this. All right. So this is the wonderful poster that we have. If you couldn't tell, it's pretty shenanigans.
Wacky.
Like
crazy, yeah. Shenanigans. That's a good word.
You got Merlin and Arthur or Wart and Archimedes, and then you have the squirrels, and then you have that random wolf, and then you have Madame Mim who doesn't show up till the end, and then you have the titular sword and the stone, then you had someone trying to pull it out, then you have Madame Mim as a dragon, and then the what's it called? The pike. That's what it's called. The pike.
Pike?
Yeah,
is that like a real fish?
Yeah, it's called a pike. It's like a
pike. Cool.
It's a real fish.
I looked it up. Doesn't really look like that. That one looks more scary than the actual thing.
Anyway.
Oh, never mind. I see an image with its teeth. Oh, wow. That's huge. Jeez Louise.
Okay, moving on. So, again, we are another film based off a book. And people are like, Disney, make more original content. And I'm like, Disney, just buy books. Just buy the rights to books and adapt the books. It's not that difficult. I mean,
yeah,
it's not that difficult.
I mean, if it works, it works.
It works. These films are classics. So this is based off T.H. White's The Sword and the Stone, which, before we talk about this film, we actually need to talk about T.H. White's The Sword and the Stone. So, have you read this book?
I have not.
Nor have I. Good reasons. So basically,
what year was this made?
The first book, was originally published as a standalone, and based off the King Arthur legend, which you know the King Arthur legend, right?
Right.
Okay, so in 1938, the same year Wizard of Oz came out.
Really?
Yeah, 1938.
Didn't know it was that old.
Anyway, so yes, it came out the same year, and then later on, after a couple more books by T.H. White, he packaged it, and in the 50s he revamped those books as The Once and Future King, which people may know the title more as some people say it's the greatest fantasy book of all time, and I say, no, it's not. Shut up. Read Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, my guy.
I haven't seen it, nor read them.
The movies?
Yeah, we'll talk about that another day. We'll talk about that another day. Anyway.
Everyone cancel JT. No, I'm kidding. But
I think I've said this before. But yeah. In those books. Hey, bud, I'm sorry. I gotta talk a bit about Controversial Corner. Are heavily racist.
When it's every episode now.
No. The last episode. We didn't talk about last episode.
That's true.
Or the Sleeping Beauty episode. But yeah, not the film, but the books. They have some casual racism, and yeah.
Casual racism?
Yeah, it's a term when racism is said so something that is racist done so casually. I think that's what it means.
That is.
Yeah. But there's a lot of it. It's kind of not casual racism. It's just full-on racism. It gets really cringe and not good. Luckily, once again, our storyboarder of the evening, our writer of the evening. Hold on, give me a second. Our writer of the evening, Mr. Bill Pete, said no, we're not going to have any racism in this Disney film. So don't worry, we won't have to talk about that in this film.
In this one.
Yeah, next episode we're going to talk about it, a bit about racism. But this film came out in 1963, so unlike what I just said in the previous episode of like, oh yeah, these films were years apart, this is 2 years after One Dalmatians. I was wrong. I can admit it when I was wrong. But basically, Disney got these rights in 1939. A year after the first book came out.
Huh.
And the film didn't come out until 1963. So yeah, basically Walt Disney sat on those rights for like 2 decades until he saw Camelot on Broadway. And was like, oh yeah, maybe I should do something with these rights. But what happened to the book, Sword in the Stone, became part of the more larger volume of The Once and Future King. But people were more familiar with The Once and Future King than they were with the original published Sword in the Stone. So when this film released, people were like, this is an unfaithful adaptation because Madame Mim's not in the book. Some of the animal transformations work from the book. Well, Disney had rights to that first book, that first version of the book, not the Once and Future King. So there were things in the revised edition, the Once and Future King, that T.H. White did, like cut out some of the racism, not all of it, but some of it, and then changed, like cut out, we're cutting out, or added some like transformations, because the book, The Sword in the Stone, is similar to the film in the sense that, like, instead of Arthur learning about 1 + 1 = 2, he learns about morals and stuff by turning into animals. Same thing that happens in the book. Now, in the book, it's different animals. Like, there's in the revised version, there's a couple things like he flies with ducks. At one point, Arthur becomes a duck and flies with the ducks, and learns that communism might be good, but that's way too woke for me today.
Wow. That was so random. Yeah, so basically, this little boy, he turns into a duck, and he flies with ducks, and learns about communism.
Well, because he learns there that, like, the ducks own nothing but their own skin. I've read passages of this book. I haven't read it all. Of Sword in the Stone, at least. That a duck doesn't own anything but its own skin, its own feathers and stuff. So, yeah. And then also he learns that war is bad. War is bad, guys.
Really?
When he turns into an ant.
Did you not know war was bad?
Oh, I didn't know. But when he turns into an ant and joins an ant colony, don't question how the ants did kick him out. It's a fantasy book. Because ants know what other ants are from the same queen. Anyway, it's
right.
And ants are always fighting.
Always.
So he learns that war isn't good. Yeah, he still goes to war in the other books. Continuity error. Again, these books are fine. Like, if you want a good fantasy novel, read the Chronicles of Berdane. Which we'll talk about later. We'll talk about in a couple of episodes. Do you know what the Chronicles of Berdane are? Oh, there you go. I haven't read them, but I know what happens in them. So they're all about war.
What's it called? The Chronicles of what?
Berdane. It's hard to spell.
Prydain.
Why are you looking at it?
Is that or?
I don't know. I haven't spelled it before.
Yeah, I know. I looked it up, and that's how I know how to spell it.
Okay. So, yeah.
Looks cool.
But so we talked about Bill Pute. We talked about the original book. We've talked about the film. What haven't we talked? Oh, we haven't talked about the music. So, hold on. Where's the music? Music. Ah! So once again, we can thank George Bruns for making another great score. And this one's, I would say, more jazzy than the previous film, because Merlin's anachronistic, like he sees the future and all of that kind of stuff. And the songs, which were written by some of the most well-known Disney people, the Sherman Brothers. Everyone give a round of applause for the Sherman Brothers. Do you know who the Sherman Brothers are?
I do not.
Oh, I do not. So So they worked on a plethora. I thought it was a good word. A plethora of Disney films.
Plethora.
It's word lot, a lot, many.
Plethora.
Yeah, that's many.
Then why'd you say plethora?
Yeah, I said that. A plethora.
Sounded like you said plethora.
No, I said plethora.
We're getting off topic.
Anyway, yes, they made a lot. They worked on a lot of Disney films, specifically the song. They were songwriting duo, Robert and Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman lived until 2 years ago. He was born in 1928 and lived until 2 years ago. Robert Sherman died in 2012. He unfortunately wasn't saved by the Avengers. I want to talk about my theory about how the Avengers saved the world in another episode. Anyway,
what?
But they've won Oscars, Grammys, BAFTAs, Golden Globes, and both have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is a scam.
Scam.
Yeah, I'll talk about that off camera. So they wrote music for such films as the original Parent Trap, Mary Poppins, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Bedknobs and Broomstick, and animated films The Sword and the Stone, and we'll talk about the other films they worked on later. But yes, they came in, did some magic, and wrote awesome music for this film. Like the Hitchidus Fidgidus or the opening song, which is great. But yeah, I love anything the Shermans did. They have working with George Bruns. They made this a great music film with great songs. I wouldn't say it's a musical. Well, I mean, kind of. Anyways, I think this film has a lot of great points. And another great point is its characters. This film is all about learning. I know underneath the fantasy exterior, it doesn't look like that, but it is. It's a film about learning, about how different perspectives of learning. How Merlin, he is a person who wants the wart, or Arthur, to be educated the right way. Educating by knowledge, because the whole point of education, I think we've lost this in our modern day. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen, about that pause. Technical issues. But basically, what the characters are. So Merlin, he's all about an education. About everyone should have a good education, because the point of education is to learn to think for yourself. And not to learn whatever someone else says. Think for yourself. That is the point of education. And then our modern day and age, it's kind of got lost. But yeah.
Okay. So learn for ourselves, right?
Learn to think for ourselves. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Okay. I was gonna say something about school. Now the American education system has failed us instead of teaching us valuable things. Anyways.
Okay, look, I can agree. The standardized tests and stuff, yeah, it's all become a system that is really old and needs changing. But yes. I think people need to realize that that's the point of learning isn't the standardized test. It's to, inspire you to be a lifelong learner, to be curious about the world around you. Like, I find what's happening right now, which is raining, very interesting, because where does the rain come from? Where does all of that come from? And I'm not going to be a meteorologist or a weatherist. I'm going to be a filmmaker. Like, what's that have to do with film? But I'm curious about that. That's the point. The point of education is to learn for yourself. And go check out We're the Greats video on this, on Sword in the Stone, if you haven't.
They don't teach us about anything useful.
Yes, they do. You just have to open your eyes a little more.
Okay.
We don't need to have this
We're just
conversation right now on camera.
They teach us math. We have calculators. Okay, all right. History. Let the past be the past. Okay, now that one I can actually see why they teach us that.
Bro, we let the past be the past. We repeat the past.
The past is gonna repeat itself anyways.
No, it doesn't. If you learn from the past, it will change.
World War III. What was I thinking about? Right. Science. The only science I need is Coke and Mentos, bro. Like, if I'm being realistic,
Are you really taking off that guy? Are you ripping off that guy's short? I know what you're referencing. I know what you're referencing. I've seen that video. Don't rip off the guy's short.
I'm gonna copy him word for word. Okay.
I can't. But like someone's like Arthur's adopted dad, I can't remember his name. He's a Luddite. He's someone who just spawns.
Wait, he's adopted?
Yeah, because his parents are dead. Or Arthur's parents. He's a protagonist, dude.
I never knew that.
Yeah, he's adopted. His adopted father, like he says it in the film. He says, "I took the boy in. I raised him as my own."
It's been a while since I've seen it, so you know.
But yeah, Arthur's adopted. It's
Interesting.
so yeah. So his stepdad, he's a Luddite. He's someone who just spawns curiosity and only thinks a man should only need to know how to hit another man off of a horse. You know? And Merlin comments about this a lot.
Yeah, it's not the brightest.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying not to get too frustrated, but the point of education, even if we have to have these standardized tests, is to make you learn about life. Because the world is fascinating. You just have to look at it, okay? You just have to look at it in a certain way. If right now life may be boring for you, but we can't talk about this forever. This is not a cinema therapy episode. This is a Gio JT podcast episode. Anyways, we need to keep talking about this. Like, we need to talk about xerography. Like, I didn't finish talking about xerography in the last episode, so let's keep talking about it. So, remember how I was talking about the scratchy lines? Well, they appear here. So, basically, what happened was animators, they would have these drafting lines that would help them figure out how to pose a character or something. And that's what you would get those extraneous like cheekbones or whatever, or like extra lines as when like Pongo's head was kind of getting squished. It's because those were drafting lines by the animator. Well, a new job was made that of erasing those drafting lines, so that way the animation would come out a bit cleaner. Well, the animators, specifically the 9 old men, specifically Milt Kahl, didn't like it because they thought it was erasing their art, essentially. Which, on the one hand, okay, but also you're trying to make a film. You're not making art. Let me rephrase that. You're not making paintings.
Right.
So, yeah. And let's also talk about another thing. Reusing or recycling animation. Do you know what that is, Gio?
Yes.
What is it?
So basically, let's say like I actually do this in some of my stop motions. You just use like the same animation for certain parts over and over again. Like, for example, let's say like a character is walking. They'll just use the same. He'll just be like the same walking, and they'll just play that over and over again instead of constantly just redrawing it. Kind of.
The man knows something. Apparently. So yes. And that saved Disney even more money. So yes. Basically, there's a lot of reused animation in the Scratchies because what they could do is, especially in 101 Dalmatians in the opening credits, which I'm gonna pause this episode and show Gio now. So hey, we're back.
Huh?
Give me a second.
You good, sir?
let's mute these. So yeah. Now as I was saying, Gio, hold on. A lot of the animation in this part here is recycled animation because
Right.
that's a lot of dogs. It's really hard to animate a lot of dogs. And so what they could do with
Yeah.
xerography is they could have one animation and just reuse that same animation on different parts of the celluloid. You remember the celluloid? It was the thing that where they could
Yes.
put the ink and paint on.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
they could just use that same animation and put it on a different place on the celluloid. That's what I wanted to show you there.
Okay. How are we doing on time?
I think we're at like 20 minutes, I think. 20, yeah, we're at 20 minutes exactly.
Cool.
So let's see, what else can we talk about? We talked about the characters, we talked about the more xerography, we talked about recycled, we talked about the books racism, we talked about I feel like for the voice acting, we're not gonna talk about that till next episode because it's more important for like next episode.
Well.
Oh! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Does This Walt Disney Animated Feature Film Have a Disney Live Action Remake? Now, Gio, this is a big one. This is for all the bucks. Wait, I'm sorry. I forgot your name isn't Gio. It's Grio. Grio.
No, it's Gio.
Okay, Grio. Does this Walt Disney Animated Feature Film have a live action remake?
Well, AT.
You don't mispronounce my name. I killed you.
Whoa.
Answer the question.
It does not.
You're right. This one doesn't. Do you know why?
Because it flopped, maybe? I don't know.
Yes, it flopped.
I'm on fuego today. Yeah.
Yeah. This film flopped, and we won't have a truly good, we will have a flop until the 80s, but that doesn't mean we're on the ride of success. This is only the thing that can get us farther down. We'll talk about the consequences of this flop next episode. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I feel that's a good way to end off this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all next time. JT out.